2025 was the year I felt myself slipping. Burnout, bad jobs, emotional crashes. It honestly felt like life was trying to break me. But the strange part, what kept me standing wasn't therapy or luck or just timing. It was the games I played. It's strange how every game found me exactly when my life was falling apart. Or maybe I just project myself into these stories. So buckle in, because today we're going to see how little by little, game by game, I was safe in 2025. So my year started a bit off. I was still working at my old job as a store manager. And every day felt like dragging a dead version of myself. 11, 12-hour shifts, sometimes one day off if I was lucky. I was exhausted, in a way that sleep couldn't fix it. It was the kind of exhaustion that buries itself in your bones, that makes your hobbies feel like chores, that turns every free moment into a fog. And that was what happened with gaming. The hobby that I had always been my escape suddenly became something I couldn't touch. I would sit in front of my library for hours, scrolling, picking up a game, putting it down, convincing myself that if I chose the right one, maybe I would feel something again. And every time, just nothing. I ended up not playing at all. It was sad, but not that dramatic. Just this quiet sadness that lingered over everything. Eventually, that pressure, that overworking, the stress, the lack of joy built into a simple realization. If I keep going, I was going to burn out completely. So I did the hardest and most necessary thing of the year. I quit. By the end of January, I wasn't a store management anymore. It was terrifying, but necessary. And around all this mess, I finally started playing Days Gone. At first, honestly, it didn't click. My heart was still full of stress and I felt disconnected from gaming. But slowly, almost silently, something shifted. There was something comforting in repeating of biking around, clearing out camps, killing freaks. A kind of quiet, predictable loop that let my mind breathe. Deacon's story wasn't my life, but that feeling of surviving day to day, that hit the same. Waking up with the weight on your shoulders, doing hard things because you have to, moving forward even when you're not okay. The game didn't teach me a lesson with some dramatic cutscene. Instead, the lesson comes from the silence between missions, and it comes to realization that if a job takes all your time and joy, is it worth the paycheck? That question stayed with me. I didn't love Days Gone because it was some big masterpiece. I love it because of where I was, because it helped me realign with what I wanted from my life. Because for the first time in months, I actually enjoyed something. By the time February started, I had finished the game and stepped into a new kind of emptiness, unemployment, free time, and this giant unknown future ahead of me. February was strange. I had an entire month free, partially because of vacation, partially because I had to job hunt. And suddenly, I had space to feel everything I had been avoiding. I doubted myself constantly. Did I do the right thing quitting? What if I never find a new job? What happens now? It felt like a void. So, of course, I picked up a game from my backlog that matched that feeling perfectly. Nier Replicant. I only got ending A, and I still want to go back to that amazing story because even that one ending hit me harder than I expected. The emotional weight of every choice, every quiet moment, every sacrifice. It felt like the game was speaking directly to the version of me who had just jumped into the unknown. Nier didn't just make me think, it made me reflect on a bunch of things in life, such as what are the consequences of my choices? What does it mean to do something for myself even if it hurts? What makes me human when everything feels uncertain? It sounds dramatic, but Nier helped me accepting something real simple. Leaving that job was the right decision. For my health, for my relationships, for the tiny pieces of joy I was trying to recover. By finish ending A, I was left with a void in me. a different one. I needed something to work toward, some sense of direction during all this waiting for job interview answers. So I pick up Mass Effect Andromeda again, a game I had left unfinished for years, and suddenly it made sense. I needed a purpose. The game gave me one. Mass Effect always was a series I love and I have a deep connection to. It felt right to go back to something I love, and that brings me comfort and joy, but also this sense of uncovering the unknown. Exploring a new galaxy, searching for a new home, it mirrored exactly what I was living. I spent the month anxiously waiting for emails, hoping for opportunities, not knowing where I was going to end up. And in the game, Ryder was doing the same, navigating uncertainty, discovering new worlds, pushing forward even when everything felt unstable. Andromeda held me together. It gave me a great every day when my life felt like it had none. It filled the silence that comes with waiting. And then, near the end of February, everything changed. I got a new job. The relief was massive. The weight of not knowing finally lifted. And looking back, I don't think I could have handled February without Nier and Mass Effect. Those games carried the emotional load I couldn't. March felt like a fresh start. I was beginning my new job, and for the first time in the year, I couldn't feel crushed by stress. It was a honeymoon phase. Everything felt light. My days were simple: go to work, come home, eat, relax. And by the end of February, Monster Hunter Wilds had come out. It was the perfect fit for my new routine. The game didn't demand hours from me, even though I ended up pouring a lot of hours into it. I could just come home from work, do a hunt or two, upgrade my gear and go to sleep, feel like I made progress. It slotted into my life like it had been designed for it. It gave me structure at a time where I was rebuilding mine. The beautiful environments, the loops, the monsters, they became part of my new rhythm. March wasn't full of revelations or emotional breakdowns. It was simple, calm, quiet rebuilding. And after 2 very dark months, that felt like a blessing and everything was back in order. Until April arrived. April was the exact opposite. The honeymoon phase ended fast. I realized the new job had lied about key parts of the role, and everything I thought I had escaped came crashing back. The stress returned, the anger, the disappointment, the depression. It felt like I've been tricked, like all the progress I've made since January has been ripped away and stolen from me. It was a low blow and unfair. I had to deal with crazy schedules, work hours that I didn't want to. And in the middle of that breakdown, something unexpected happened. Expedition 33 released. Completely out of nowhere, it became the game of the year for me and many people. The emotional tone of the story, the characters, the morbid beginning, it destroyed me. In the best way possible. I connected to that game on a level I wasn't prepared for. Something about its world, its themes, its sadness, it matched exactly what I was going through. It didn't fix my situation, but it gave me strength to keep going. It reminded me that even when things fall apart, stories, games can pull you back together. And that's when, surrounded by all this fog, I wanted to grab a hold of my life and made another important decision. I started planning my YouTube channel, this channel. And the first video came out at the end of April. April hurt, but it also pushed me to create something for myself, to define my life situation, to do things I wanted. Even if it was a brutal month, it was also the key moment for my year, and Expedition 33 was there holding my emotion, relieving feelings and things I hadn't think about in years, but also giving me hope for what comes after. May was rough. I was still in the job I hated, angry, sad, numb, going through the motions every day. It felt disconnected from everything, from myself. And after finishing Expedition 33, I felt a void again. Nothing felt right, nothing clicked. So for the third time in my life, I tried Death Stranding. This time, it clicked. Sam's journey, that crushing emptiness, that lonely world where you're surrounded by people but still feel completely isolated, that was exactly what I was living. I might have co-workers, responsibilities, but emotionally, I felt like I was walking alone through an empty landscape. But Death Stranding taught me something important. Silence can be healing. Loneliness isn't always a punishment. Sometimes distance gives you clarity. The music carried me through the hardest moments. The deliveries gave me purpose. Sam's quiet strengths became something I held on to. By the end of May, I wasn't fixed, but I was a bit stronger. I was still bittersweet about everything, but I was holding on. Death Stranding made me embrace the melancholy that I was in and move a bit further with it. It was a journey I got deeply attached to and I will forever remember. By the time June came, everything was kind of boiling up. I wasn't very stressed, not until later, but emotionally I wanted to escape. I didn't want another heavy game. I didn't want deep introspections. I wanted comfort. I wanted to run away. I wanted to forget that everything was cracking. I needed a break. So I decided to play The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening. Zelda was always kind of a comfort for me and something that I rely to go back to whenever I feel that I need a break from things and forget my own problems. Zelda actually worked. I wasn't really thinking or processing my emotions. I was just drifting away from my problems. I was invested in the world, exploring the islands, enjoying the charm and the dreamlike tone. But the more I played, the more I realized I was doing exactly what Link was doing. Dreaming on an island, avoiding a reality. Trying to stay somewhere soft because waking up hurt. And with that, I did something a bit irresponsible. Since my work situation wasn't stable and guaranteed, and everything there was a complicated mess, I decided to purchase the Switch 2 on release. I had friends come over for the launch and we had an amazing time, laughed, yelling, raging at Mario Kart World. It was pure fun, pure chaos, a break from everything. Exactly what I wanted, but not what I needed. The disappointment with Mario Kart hit me hard afterwards. The game wasn't what I thought in my head to be. It became boring quickly, which made me rethink if I should have bought the console in the first place. And that's when the financial stress arrived, because buying the Switch suddenly felt like a mistake I could not afford. That moment became a turning point. I needed to take control. I needed to break patterns. June wasn't growth, it was a warning and a wake-up call. We briefly now come to July, and this was the lowest emotional point of the year. Everything just broke down. I started missing days of work because I simply couldn't handle being there. I knew I needed a new job again, even if I already had one. July was strange in a very specific way. I wanted to finish Death Stranding 2, but because me and my girlfriend were sharing the same console, we never had the rhythm to properly commit. She was deeply into it, and since she was actually the person who pushed me to play the first one, it just felt right to let her finish first. And since I had a new Switch sitting there, I asked myself, why not finally play Persona? Especially because Expedition 33 had opened the door to JRPGs for me, a genre I never touched seriously until this year, and actually finished one just like I mentioned in a previous video on this channel. So I started playing Persona 5 Royal, and instantly it became everything I needed. Persona 5 Royal became the game I poured myself into, my escape, my therapy, my plan for a better life. And unintentionally, it became the build-up to the biggest turning point of my year. The rebellion, the fighting for freedom, the desire to escape toxic environments, it all mirrored my life. Every palace, every decision, every moment with the Phantom Thieves remind me you're allowed to take your life back, you're allowed to break out, you're allowed to want more. Persona 5 became my anchor, my escape, my motivation to change. And so I did. Powered with all this motivation, I started looking for new jobs and planned my leave from this palace known as my current job. August and September were the months I rebuilt myself. I found a new job, a good one this time. No night shifts, no lies, just stability. I left the toxic company behind with joy. I leveled up to 30, a major milestone and realization I'm getting older now. And all this time I kept playing Persona 5 Royal. It marked my summer. I avoided this game for years and it came to me when I needed the most. One moment stands out for me though. My last day at the toxic job, saying goodbye to my friends there and realizing generally that I felt fulfilled. Why? Because Persona taught me something incredibly simple. Life is about relationships you build, about increasing your confidence, about small meaningful bonds. It made me appreciate the little things, conversation, routines, hangouts, kindness, all the tiny moments that makes life feel whole. By the end of September, something unexpected happened because I had played skate for a bit and because Persona taught me to pursue the simple joys in life, I decided to fulfill a childhood dream and learn how to skate. That alone shows how different I was compared to January and the growth I had since then. It was a great and fundamental turning point in my year. These months were the opposite of the rest of the year. Not perfect, not dramatic, just stable. I was finally able to play games for fun again. No pressure, no emotional baggage, just joy. I played Pokémon Legends EA and The Legend of Zelda Age of Imprisonment, and while they weren't groundbreaking or life-changing like earlier games this year, they were exactly what I needed. Relaxing, entertaining, comforting. I wasn't surviving anymore, I was living. Even now, playing 80s 2, a game I would have burned out on earlier months, felt refreshing. I wasn't forcing myself, I wasn't running, I was just enjoying games again. I would go to bed telling myself, okay, just one more run in 80s 2 and then I will sleep. Well, we all know how that goes. After such an intense year, playing something light felt like breathing again. That I had finally got what I started the year asking for. A stable schedule and time to enjoy what I love the most in life. December isn't over as I'm writing this, but right now the plan is simple. Finish what 2025 didn't let me finish. At the moment I'm finally playing Metroid Prime 4 and having mixed feelings about it. I still want to finally finish Death Stranding 2, the game I keep putting on pause because life keeps demanding all my time and energy. It feels symbolic to end the year by finishing the sequel to the game that saved me in May. But December is also the place where all the games I love but didn't quite fit into the bigger emotional arcs finally get their credit. Games like Little Nightmares, which was such a surprise, unsettling, imaginative, beautiful in the most twisted way. It was the perfect palate cleanser between all the intense emotional journeys I've been taking all year. Or Chronos, horror game I didn't expect to enjoy as much as I did. Atmospheric, unsettling, and the kind of fear that sticks under your skin. And my other disappointment of the year, Assassin's Creed Shadows, who I don't even know if I will finish, sadly. They didn't mark my year, but did help me out a bit and filled some voids and stress I was in at the time I played them. And then there's the backlog I'm carrying out to the next year. Ghost of Yotei, Silent Hill F, and Split Fiction. The last one being especially complicated because I'm actually playing it with my girlfriend. We started strong, love it, and then just couldn't sync our schedules again. Our willpower is there, but our real-life timing has not been cooperating. Maybe they will fit into the next year's video? Who knows? But before I close this year out, I want to say something important. I've talked a lot in this video about how games help me deal with emotional pain. And they did. They were a foundation, a constant, something I've always relied on. But I don't want to sound like games magically fix everything. They didn't. People did. My girlfriend especially was the pillar that helped me through all of this. She was there on the worst days, she pushed me, supported me, reminded me I wasn't alone. And she was the one who recommended me quite a few of the games that I end up playing and helped me the most throughout the year. And the truth is, no matter how powerful or healing games can be, they don't replace the people we love. If there's one thing Persona really taught me this year, it's this: friends and loved ones matter. They show up, they help you heal, They stay even when things get ugly, and those relationships, the real ones, needed to be cared for or they disappear. In a year as chaotic and heavy as mine, the people who were there from the beginning to end made just as much of a difference as the games did. 2025 didn't give me peace easily. It didn't give me stability for free. But every game I played, every world, every story, every character carried me through a different part of the year. They helped me survive burnout, unemployment, anxiety, betrayal, depression, financial stress, and emotional exhaustion. They helped me rebuild, they helped me reflect, they helped me grow. And that's what this video is. Not a list of games, not a review of the year. It's the story of how gaming held me together when everything else was falling apart. And how piece by piece, month by month, I found my way back into myself. Thanks everybody for sticking around, and if you want to see why I couldn't finish a JRPG, watch this video right here, the one where I talk about how JRPGs burned me out. Thank you everybody for being here. See you on the next one.